morning. We will call the meeting to order. Just to note that meetings may be recorded and posted on Wheatland County website or via social media. We have an agenda that's been circulated. Does anybody have any additions or changes?
Yes, Madam Reeve, I have a few additions. So I have the following 3 RFDs. 1, organizational chart changes. 2, information item, Wheatland Regional Corporation, Phase 3. And 3, request for proposal for water and wastewater treatment operators for Cartland Speargrass. And then I also have 3 in-camera items to add as well. 1, legal, 2, land, and 3, enforcement.
The 3 RFDs, would you like under new business? Would that, do you think, be the best?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we'll add those under F, G, and H. Councillor Bigger, did you have an addition?
Under other matters, community and development services, F, the Strathmore and District Chamber of Commerce.
Added that under 2.3F. Any other changes?
The Strathmore and District Chamber of Commerce. 2.3F.
3.21, I think. Putting a letter
Councillor Clausen.
And I have some, just ratify attendance and mileage for a few different events, one from last month and some from this month.
Okay, we'll put that under 3.1B.
Okay.
I have 1, 2 for something that went to Strathmore.
Okay, we'll just do that at the same time under
Sure,
3.1B. I do have one addition, just an update on the shallow gas tax rebate program that the province of government is working on. So I'll do that under 4, under information. Anything else? Margaret,
I have addition. I will add the speed limit on Range Road 222, which is just the school road, Wheatland Crossing Road, and the WRC truck fill station road.
Can you remind me of the road? Okay, we'll put that under 3.2I. Any other additions or changes?
Just a question on these additions here, the one contract to for WRC, should that be in camera, some of that discussion, or is that open?
No, I think everything is okay at this point. We certainly can move in camera if you'd like.
Okay, fair.
Any other additions? If not, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Councillor Wilson, all in favor? Motion is carried. Minutes for the June 25th, 2019 special council meeting were circulated. Did anybody see any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve. Councillor Eichert, all in favor? Motion is carried. The minutes for the July 2nd, 2019 regular council meeting were also included in the package and circulated. Were there any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve. Councillor Biggar, all in favor? Motion is carried. We do have some public hearings scheduled for today. I will move that the process for the Wheatland County Council meeting as it pertains to the scheduled public hearings will be as follows. Public hearing, first reading if required, then consideration for further readings of the bylaw for those public hearings that have been closed. I further move that the above process will take place with the absence of resolutions to go into and out of council before and after each public hearing. All in favor? Motion is carried. I'll call the first public hearing to order for bylaw 2019-13. Does any member of the public have an objection to any councillor sitting on council for the public hearing? Not seeing any. Can you verify that the notice of the public hearing was circulated in accordance with the MGA?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. And were there any written submissions that were not included in the package?
There were none.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. So this is the public hearing for the purpose to redesignate plus or minus 9.85 acres of Plan 9110892, Lot 1, from agricultural general to rural business. I will scooch down to the maps for you guys. So there is a location just south of Cheadle. And there is the aerial imagery. And then the land use context. So it is staff recommendation that council undertake the public hearing. The key issues and concepts are to redesignate parcel Plan 9110892 Lot 1 from agricultural general to rural business in order to facilitate the expansion of an existing landscaping business. If council grants this redesignation, the applicant will submit a development permit application for this business. The landscaping business has been operating under a secondary use business development permit since 2014, receiving a renewal in 2017. Secondary use business was removed as a use in the land use bylaw, in the new land use bylaw. When the applicant came to reapply for their SUB permit, they were informed they would need to redesignate in order to accommodate their business. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak for the public hearing? Not seeing anyone. Thank you. We will close the public hearing for bylaw 2019-13. Consideration of second and third readings. Deputy Reeve Pester has moved second reading. Any discussion? Do you have a comment? Okay. All in favor? Second reading is carried. Consideration of third reading.
I'll move third reading.
Councillor Eichert has moved third reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll now open the public hearing for bylaw 2019-19. Can you confirm that circulation was done as per the MGA?
Yes, Madam Chair, it was.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Council. So I have a bylaw for 2019-19 to proceed with public hearing in order to amend the Foothills County, Wheatland County Intermunicipal Development Plan. This is a bit of a different step that we're taking forward in that we're proceeding with the public hearing first instead of first reading. This was based on the fact that we had initially intended to send this off to the Calgary Metropolitan Regional Board for its final approval and then come back with the preceding bylaw readings. However, it was confirmed later that we didn't need to do this. So because we had already proceeded with public hearing notification, we decided to proceed with public hearing. We did start in May and it went on for about 2 months, whereby we received no comments of concern, mainly just comments for clarity of what an IDP is, what the process is, and how it may affect them. Foothills County already proceeded with their first reading on July 3rd, and they had no concerns from the public there or from their council. They will be waiting for us to proceed with third reading in the anticipation that if there are any major changes, that they can address them then at that time. Until then, staff is recommending that the public hearing proceed and that the amendments are intended to address MGA changes in order to align the document with those amendments, as well as the SSRP, and to update the IDP in order to address current issues and concerns that both municipalities have, in particular for the landscape that we have, as well as the uses that currently exist within the plan area. Other than that, as I mentioned, there were no comments brought in, and so there's no further documentation to proceed with the public hearing. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak regarding the application? Not seeing anyone, we will close the public hearing for bylaw 2019-19. Give consideration for first reading. Councillor Armstrong has moved first reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Wilson has moved second reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Approval to proceed to third reading. We just need permission for like unanimous.
Oh.
Okay. Is that what you're moving?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Bigger has moved approval to proceed to third reading. All in, or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Consideration of third and final reading. Councillor Bigger has moved third and final reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to first reading for bylaw 2019-02.
Good morning. So I have a first reading for bylaw 2019-02. It is to amend a 3.63 acre of land from agricultural general to country residential to accommodate existing residential development within those lands. It's located on the southwest 142720. Staff is recommending that council choose option 1 to grant first reading of bylaw 2019-02 and schedule the public hearing for August 20th, 2019. The lands in question that are looking to be rezoned currently have existing dwelling and residential development. Therefore, the lands as they currently are suitable for the country residential use. They are surrounded by a vegetative buffer, which does buffer it from the existing agricultural lands on the remnant parcel. With that being said, council does have 3 options. Option 1, to grant first reading of bylaw 2019-02. Option 2, to refuse bylaw 2019-02, or option 3, to approve an alternate recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Council's wishes. Deputy Reeve Kester has moved first reading for bylaw 2019-02. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Wilson has moved to public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We have an RFD for bylaw 2019-16.
So this is to redesignate a portion of the northeast of 312224 for 2.52 acres from country residential to agricultural general, and a portion of the northwest 322224 for 1.7 acres from ag general to country residential. Staff is recommending that council choose option 1 to approve first reading of bylaw 2019-16 and to proceed with a public hearing scheduled for August 20th at 9 a.m. Just a bit of context, this is following a subdivision approval from this year regarding the same parcels. The redesignation is intended to align the boundary adjustments as part of that application. And so this is basically to make sure that the lands as their final subdivision are in line with the appropriate appropriate land use tied to the uses currently on the land. With that being said, council has 3 options to approve first reading of bylaw 2019-16 with a scheduled public hearing of August 20th at 9 a.m. Option 2 is to refuse bylaw 2019-16, or option 3 that council approve an alternate recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Council's wishes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. public hearing.
I move that a public hearing for 2019-17 be scheduled for August 20th at 9 a.m. in
Dash
Wheatland.
16.
Or dash 16, sorry. Yep. At 9 a.m.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw 2019-17.
Okey-dokey. So this is bylaw 2019-17, the first reading to redesignate plus or minus 10.91 acres of Plan 1312397, Block 2, Lot 1, from agricultural general to country residential. And I will show you the location map just here. And then the proposed redesignated parcel. So it is staff recommendation that council grant first reading to bylaw 2019-17 to redesignate plus or minus 10.91 acres of Plan 1312397, Block 2, Lot 1, from agricultural general to country residential. And that public hearing be scheduled for August 20th. So the purpose of the application is to redesignate all of this parcel from ag to country residential in order to facilitate a 3-acre subdivision just on the north side of it. If council, the portion of the applicant is asking to subdivide on the northern part of it, the only comments that we received were from Alberta Transportation in regards to access, and that letter was included in the package. If council wanted me to review it, I can do that.
Has council had a chance to review the letter in the package? I think we've all
All
reviewed
good,
it.
perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Council's wishes. I'll move first reading for bylaw 2019-17. First reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Eichert has moved the date for the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We had an RFD regarding a development permit fee refund application or request. Good morning.
He's one ahead.
Thank you. Council's wishes.
I move that the development permit fee of $500 be refunded to Speargrass Community Association.
Discussion. All in favor? Motion is carried. There's also an RFD regarding a Speargrass Community Association proposed park project.
Yes, this is working with the Speargrass Community Association on, they're looking to put a park project in the Speargrass community. They've chosen the MR park that's in the package, and there's the associated budget costs that go along with their proposal. And they're just looking for council support for so they can start raising funds and applying for grants, as well as the ask for the 280,000.
Council's wishes.
I move that council support the Speargrass Community Association proposed park project and the fund requested for the amount of $2,008,560 and direct administration to continue to include the project in the 2020 capital budget.
Discussion. Everyone's so quiet today.
planning on building?
This clarification, this is on a building on our land, right? On county-owned property?
Yeah,
Okay.
on reserve land, right.
On reserve land? Okay.
Municipal reserve.
Municipal
Okay.
reserve.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you for coming in. 2.3C, we have an RFD regarding a request to refund the appeal application fee for an SDAB road appellant. Page 138.
Good morning, Council. Before you, you just have an RFD with regards to appealing the application fee for an SDAB appellant and a hearing. With you, you have a supplementary letter written by the appellant with regards to the confusion with moving forward with an SDAB hearing. So they're just requesting that to reimbursement.
Council's wishes. Staff had already invested time.
Yes. Correct. Operating dollars have been invested in it. Yep.
Council's wishes. Discussion. All in favor? Motion is carried. Everyone is quiet. There's an RFD regarding the Economic Development Board terms of reference.
Thank you. So as council is aware, we have been working with the Economic Development Board for the last several months with regards to formalizing the direction and the purpose of the board. What the amendments to the draft terms of reference does is, in fact, it does that, just that. It formalizes the board's purpose. It creates a standing board chair for a one-year term. It also envelops a matrix with regards to broadening the board's scope. So currently, the composition of the board consists of primarily tourism operators. So what we want to do as administration and staff is broaden the scope and broaden the purpose to provide more of an expertise cross-section, business owners, general residents within Wheatland County. So those are really the primary changes to the TOR. In addition to that, you'll see a matrix that will be used to evaluate each applicant as we move forward. And obviously, that matrix and that evaluation will be brought to council for a resolution to move forward with that board composition. So currently, the composition is 5 members with 1 councillor and a backup councillor, and we'll broaden that to 9 members.
I do have one question about composition. So under 1.2B, it says the board must be comprised of a minimum. So there'd be a minimum of 5 that would be in the terms of reference. So if you have you start with 9, and then if you had vacancies, you could solve quorum.
Correct.
Okay. And then my only other question was whether we want to specify in the terms of reference that we would have a council representative on that board.
Yes, certainly we can amend that to make that more clear.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
Depending on council's wishes. It
For
was
sure.
just something I noticed was not specified.
My apologies, it should be actually.
Just a comment, that's quite the application.
And just to comment on that comment, it actually is taken from other communities as well, obviously, right? Not reinventing the wheel, but it is a standard process, so,
And it could be done still pretty, like, it's not time consuming, it's just several questions, but I think they're all important.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything that needed to be left out.
Yeah. Any other discussion regarding the terms of reference? There's a few just textual amendments that I'll send to Brian or Margaret. Any other council's wishes? We're looking for a motion to approve the terms of reference. Councillor Bigger has moved. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh. As amended? Like just a clause that will specify that there will be a council representative with an alternate provided. That's accurate. Yes, as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you for that. There was information in the package regarding the Community and Development Services 3-year strategic plan.
Thank you, Madam Reeve. Before you, you have an RFD to receive the 3-year strat plan for information. It is rather comprehensive in nature, of course, and what it does is it really reaffirms Council's direction over the last year with regards to several strat plans that either have been implemented, starting to be implemented, or we are going to completely overhaul and amend, such as the municipal development plan. So within there, we also wanted to really reaffirm our commitment to customer service and reevaluating our processes to further streamline our development and planning processes and couple that with being more business ready and poised to accept and make things work. So obviously you see from 2019, 2020, and 2021, several high-level goals. Really in 2019 going into 2020, we're looking at our process. So everything to do with accepting an application, be it a development or a planning application, or courting a business. So we're looking at our processes and ways to do that better. Obviously, you see as well the organizational chart that Council has approved more recently. And with that, we do have the expertise in the department to deliver those hard and soft services. So we do have the expertise to evaluate our processes, bring better best practices to the county, and also to be able to understand our purpose, right? So that being said, 2019 into 2020 is really focused on that. Furthermore, as Council has probably noticed, and we touched on this yesterday in our planning session, was that we do have a refined brand within Community Development Services to make things look more modern and crisp. So your supplementary package with the plan for 19 to 21 is actually just that. It's modern, it's clean, it's crisp, and it's what we're moving forward with in our department in order to attract people to our county to look at what we're doing and look at the work that staff is pumping out into the community for the county. I'd also like to go into 2020 and 2021. We have some of those goals that we want to really finish, and that is the overhaul of the municipal development plan. That is also looking at other visionary documents such as our land use bylaw, our regional growth strategy, and even fixing up the county hall, as you can hear. But I really want to reemphasize before we get into Q&A some of the department goals and coupling that with the mission and vision of the county as a whole. So obviously we want to maintain those strong relationships and develop more relationships with our community. That's really important, and that's what we're working on. That's the first goal of our department moving forward. The second is meeting our customer needs. That goes without saying. That's really what that is all about. The third goal is positioning for organizational success. That is human resources, that is the way we operate within the county, but that's also our relationship with the community, with council, and with our regional partners. The next is fostering a culture of public service. It's ultimately what we're here to do. That's the whole customer first motto. Sound policies for decisions for sustainability. That's looking at our MDP, that's looking at all of those documents that we have committed to reviewing moving forward, and promoting visitation to the county, coupling everything that we're doing here with attracting people to our county. That's key, right? And that's ultimately what we're doing with revisiting our policies and bringing them to council for review and approval. I'll take questions.
I don't know what this is. What's a geographic information systems professional?
For sure.
You met him yesterday.
I met him yesterday, but I don't know what he
I
does.
met him. So the GIS system is a best practice system that most municipalities and governments and even businesses use. Ultimately, GIS is the data of the world. Companies use GIS to produce maps and visuals with data. I can take, for example, crime, right? If we want to show crime in our community and where it is, the volumes, the magnitude of crime, or what have you, we can take that data and put it in a map and actually have it available as open data for residents and constituents to refer to. I could take, transportation corridors and get the amount of traffic and congestion perhaps in our transportation corridors, Highway 1, and we can map that data. I can also get socio-demographic data of our constituents in our county and map that, education levels, income levels. We can do that stuff, right? So ultimately, the purpose of GIS for a county, for a municipality, is to modernize and get data so that we can display it. We can have an open data system so that our constituents can come and refer to some real-time, robust, quantitative data. So, and it's a benefit for staff as well and for council because we can provide more evidence-based information for council to make more sound decisions. So
And
it's
then
the
as
data
well,
of the world.
It's a great deal, or a great tool for our
Absolutely.
business,
Yep.
potential business development, because they can look at some of those factors when they're citing businesses or either expansion or new business, so.
And you're saying that he's putting that data in, or he's retrieving them?
Everything. He's starting everything up because we don't have a
We haven't had
GIS.
this before.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're moving forward with that. And it's basically to get that system up and running is a 6 to 12 month undertaking, really. And it's a constant evolving, updating door, right? So in addition, GIS is very beneficial to modernize and make our RFDs for development permits for planning applications more attractive and more modern and much more informative. Right now, we're using an older system that most municipalities have moved out of. Yeah. So currently, our vacancies are, we have 2 vacancies. We have a manager of planning and safety codes vacancy, and we have a planner 1 up and coming vacancy. So we are looking to fill those positions,
But
and
this
that's all we
isn't
have.
to change to the
This isn't to change
organizational chart
anything.
that was.
No, your organizational
been
chart, this is the
previously.
approved chart.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I like the customer service.
Good question.
Yeah, this GIS, years ago, the county undertook mapping for the county. Is that mapping going to be transferred? And has it been kept up to date?
So your first question, yes, everything can be imported that we currently have. All the data from the existing system can be imported into the Esri GIS system. The second question, as far as I know, not everything is fully up to date, but however, the individual we've brought on can bring it up to date quite quickly. He has the expertise to do so, and he's recognized those gaps and is working with our staff and our consultants to bring that up to speed.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
That's similar to the Muni site, but that course that we took, he brought us up to speed on a lot of features. The Muni site course we had here a while ago.
Are you going to have more of them, or?
So through the Reeve, to Councillor Clausen, MuniSite serves a really good purpose for the public to access mapping, right? It's a very user-friendly public access. There's an option for one to go on the website, wheatlandcounty.ca, go to the MuniSite public access and maneuver around that map, type in your civic or your other address information or your coordinates, and it'll pop up with all the zoning information and perhaps your assessment as well. That serves that purpose. GIS is also user-friendly, but it's more of a background avenue for us to populate information for the public to access, but also for staff to utilize to make more informed decisions. And yes, there will be workshops and seminars for that as well. Certainly for council once we get everything up and running, so you can see actually the benefit, a more tangible benefit of this system.
Any other discussion? If not, I'm looking for a motion to accept the Community and Development Services 3-year strategic plan as information. Councillor Wilson has made the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We had an RFD regarding the safety audit.
Is there an agenda item under 2.3F?
Oh, sorry, yes, thank you. I was just running through my package, sorry. Yes, we had an addition for Strathmore District Chamber of Commerce. Councillor Bigger?
Yeah, I sent out a email earlier. The Chamber of Commerce, Strathmore District Chamber of Commerce has a new board. There is, I think, 14 members when you add on the economic development officers for Strathmore and the county. And very aggressive. They have a lot of plans. We've split up into membership. We split up into events. They've got bylaws and policies in place now. Very aggressive, enthusiastic group of people. But in the past, they have run into some financial difficulties. They were not maybe that well of a run board before. So they had a loan through the town of Strathmore for, I believe, approximately $9,000. It was at, I think, $20-some thousand, and they've paid down. There's $9,000 left, and so the town actually absorbed that loan. So now the Strathmore Chamber, District and Chamber don't have to pay that back. So the town has absorbed that. But now what we're looking for is office space. We really feel that we need to be seen. We're hiring a new executive director. And to go forward, we are looking for a place to rent. It would be approximately between $400 and $500 a month. We're going forward now with that, trying to get rates and contracts and see where they're going, see which is more feasible. And so Bob Sowell from the town approached me, wondering if the town and the county could go together and share the rent for a year on a year basis, just so we can get our feet in the door and get our finances a little bit up. It's hard to do events when you're starting out with a zero budget. So and last year they didn't even have any events, but we still we need to be seen. So if we could, I was wondering if we could have the county, it would be approximately $2,400 cost to us and $2,400 cost to the town. And if we could just help them out for that 1 year for office space.
Questions or discussion?
When I look at Strathmore, I'm guessing how many businesses businesses are there? I'm guessing 200. I don't know if I'm close or off the charts. County, I don't know if we have that many businesses that would be interested in it. So I don't think the proportion 50-50 is fair. And I had some other comments too. Most of the businesses in the county are agriculture, and I belong to Canadian wheat growers, canola growers, cattle producers. They all come with fees. Looking to supplement those fees for everybody. I'm just trying to be, council this year has moved in a way to be more accountable. We've declined some things that people come for funding, and we want it to be in the budget. We've taken things out of the CURB funding and not paid it, and this one here was in the CURB funding, didn't receive a grant, and now we're going to bring it back and pay. Council has to take a hard look at being perceived as being fair and accountable, and these add-on things after from what we've done earlier in the year, I'm really having a concern with. I want to be fair to everybody in the county. I don't have anything per se against the chamber. It's just the way that we're doing business, if that's
There is, I believe, 100 members, and I don't know the percentage, but I do know that there is businesses in the county that belong to the district chamber, and most of them are tourism operators, I'll have to admit. But I think they're trying to go forward, and they're trying to, and now we have Patrick helping us to get the county businesses on board with us. And I think that with the town absorbing that loan amount, that if that was added on to their 2,400, maybe the percentage between the 9,000, 2,400, and then our 2,400, I think it's a fair percentage. So I'm actually going to put a motion on the floor that we donate, yeah, maybe it is donate. Yeah, that we donate approximately donate $2,400 to the Chamber District, Strathmore District and Chamber of Commerce for their office space.
Discussion?
Yes, so there's fees for members are, they're set up on how many staff you have. But even with those fees going forward, we're having a hard time being able to do the events, plan the events, getting started with them. You know, you have to lay out your cost of your rental of your hall, whatever it is. And these events are, like we put on the debate when the election was on. We have partnered with Newsy Neighbor. We've partnered with, I forget what the downtown revitalization, when they did an event down there. Yeah, we have actually tried to partner with everything that has no cost, but eventually we're going to have to put on, we'd like to do a business awards evening event, and it's just, there's no funding for it. Like Carsland and, or do you mean Standard and Hussar? Standard and Hussar? There isn't anyone on the board from those areas, but I don't know. I haven't been there long enough to figure out. We can definitely invite them. We haven't actually gone out to the county as much as, like with Patrick there now. I'd like to be able to go out and promote that more. Where they've gone around to the businesses in Strathmore, which is quite easy, right? But we haven't been out to the county as much as, we've done phone calls, but not gone out to see them.
Just a question, Donna. So there's staff, the chamber has staff? One full-time person? And has that person been employed for a long time, or?
They don't have anyone there right now. They're just hiring that person. And that's why
And where does that money
they
for
want
that
this
come
office
from?
space
Just curious,
from the members.
for the members. I own a business in Strathmore, and I've looked at the chamber, but I'm not a tourism. I've had a business in Strathmore that's been there for 40 years, and the value for me and for my business isn't there. And I'm being honest with you on that. The fees, I can't get a return on investment with that.
Yeah. Well, it is good for like insurance, and you should look at the insurance part. But also what we're trying to do is, now we've got two companies on, this is just something new, that, so if the radio station, if you're a chamber member, then you'll get, your staff will get a discount. And we're just setting up little things that will enable you to get discounts from other businesses. So pooling together to discount and shop local.
I don't mind the idea. I think, like, the town's looking at building a new building right downtown. I think an office in there would be perfect for somebody like this, because they're close to the downtown. But I agree with some of our other councilors here thinking that it's mostly focused in Strathmore, and there isn't a lot of rural component there, and that's maybe not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. And the fees should pay for itself. Should be able to, if they need a location, the fee should accompany that, because it is helping the businesses. And if not all businesses use it, and the ones that are, if they get that value back, the return on investment, it shouldn't be hard for them to pay for that. That's my opinion.
Problem is along the same lines. Herb funding, or sort of is this whole system that we have to eliminate this. An amazing job. The way the chamber has gone in the last, asked, I just can't agree with the way we asked. If they go, I agree with Councilor.
The problem with the curb funding is they were never ever asked for a presentation or books and I'm not kidding, we are on a zero budget. We have zero. So yeah.
Do we know, like, I understand that the curb board prioritizes the applications. Was the chamber's application eligible for the curb funding? Like it wasn't excluded because of ineligibility, or?
It just not say anything in the letter why.
Okay.
For them to ask if it was.
I just thought in case they didn't meet an eligibility requirement for that process. I don't know enough about it personally, but. Any further discussion? The question to administration, is there like any place in our economic development kind of?
No, not under the economic development. However, under the administration, there is that one line, donations to other organizations. So as of today's date, there's about 44,000 year-to-date spent, and there's a budget of about 72,000.
I do want to just make sure that you guys know this is for 1 year. This is helping a business, helping an organization get started. They're not asking for anything after that. They just are in a rough time and need 1 year just to kickstart.
Any further discussion or questions?
I just can't do this. This is we used to do business in the county. I have no problem with the chamber getting their money, but I can't do this vehicle. We have other communities for this exact same reason.
I don't believe the chamber would qualify. I don't think it would meet the provincial requirements.
Has to be for preventative in nature for families, you know.
And not the business focus.
Just another comment, whether they go through the right process or not, I don't know. I'll agree with Councillor Kester that we have a very large amount of ag businesses in the county, and I don't know if the majority of our businesses within the county would get the benefit of this certain group. So whichever process, even if they were to go about it the right way, I don't agree with it.
I will just address that, the fact that the chamber's done a horrible job in it. They have access to I would have had this as a business owner, if I would have known. The fact that the chamber's done a horrible job at it. Just, so you know that every farmer should belong to the chamber, I think just.
If the chamber isn't, if the chamber isn't needed by the county, why are we on the board? Like, I don't know how this came about.
Well, I think if we look at it from a different perspective, if it was simply the Strathmore Chamber of Commerce and we were excluded from it, I think our noses would be out of joint and some of our county businesses would feel excluded from some of the things that they do. I have heard from people in my division that are part of the chamber and have taken a very active role both on their board and in their event planning. I believe you partnered in that event that we were at Origins recently. I do see the chamber, even through one of the other boards I sit on, Community Futures, the work that's being done with the chamber and the direction that it's going. You haven't spoken to, but I think from what I understood, the chamber is trying to focus more on the rural businesses as well. And that's something I would like to see going forward. If there are businesses, whether they're in the town of Strathmore, such as yourself, or in the county that are not accessing the chamber, that's personal choice. But I would like to do what we can to support our entrepreneurs in the county. And this is one way we can do that. We do have representation on the board. I would anticipate that you would help direct the board to, and with the help of our EDO, to be reaching out to our rural businesses, get more of them involved. On a higher level, kind of fundamental perspective on these donations, I know we have an issue with our current process. I know we've made some decisions that have been contrary to decisions that have been made in the past, and we haven't supported some requests made by some community groups. I think what we need to seriously look at is some kind of policy for council to fall back on in making these decisions. We do have a budget line item that is to address these kind of timely issues that may not, like a community project may not be planned a year in advance or in time for the CURB application process. And I don't think we should exclude deny consideration of those requests when they can make a huge impact on our ratepayers. But I would like to see some kind of formalized policy where, like you said, we have the budget line item already. We just don't really have a process other than kind of coming hat in hand to council for individual considerations.
Through the chair, administration can work on a policy and a procedure for council just to kind of clarify any future requests and potentially see if we can get organizations to gather up all the requests and submit them before our budget's finalized.
One that you could look at that I had looked at was the city of Okotoks has one that might, and I'm sure lots of, that was just one that when I was researching kind of came up rather quickly. Just to look at some models of how other municipalities address this.
I don't think it's a question of support. The chamber come to the county a few years ago, asked for participation. County, we have an economic development officer. We are supporting that process. It's heavily maybe leaned towards the tourism, the economic development board. We just accepted some new guidelines and we're going to try and expand on that. I see that in a way, in a definite way, is supporting the whole region, including Strathmore. For me, it's a question also of proportion. Like I said, who's going to gain the most benefit? They forgave the debt, but we are actually contributing in a big way too through our economic development board, I believe. And it's not much different than, in some ways, I would say not much different. The handy bus, we don't put in the same amount as Strathmore does on the handy bus. They do 100 and whatever it is, 80, and we do 35. It's more of a proportion. Is it fair? I don't know. Probably not, but the same thing for this here too. And there's other things we do, like the Christmas hamper. Is it proportionate what we do? To take and pick one thing out when we don't look at the total picture, to me is, I always like to look at the total picture. And that's why we have this community. We write off everything we give and we can pull that up and we can see what all the communities are getting. Keep it in context and
I would just ask along the lines of the policy that it be a planning and priorities conversation, because I do think there should be council input on that. So.
Good idea.
Just, I was looking at the website, so there's about 100 businesses, roughly, give or take. So from my perspective, like I said, my business wouldn't be, but if I was in this and it gave me an advantage, if you went to an ask of, say, $100 each to do this, which probably be close to, or whatever, they would get their value back on that. And I don't know if that's been tried or whatever, but it is a business supporting business, like the ones that use it should pay for it. This is asking everybody else to contribute. I have a hard time with that. And the process as well, like we should have a different process instead of what's coming forward. I think it's good. I don't think I have anything bad against the chamber. I understand where it's coming from. But like, I'm just looking at some of these businesses. There's like A&W, there's big Costco's in here. Like, that's nothing for a big company to contribute to that. Well, there's a return on investment, so. Yeah. Say we need to have this is our business plan. Just same as you're doing here. You're asking for this is our business plan. Will you contribute? Divide it amongst the members, X amount of dollars. And then you might be surprised, you might get more than you're asking for.
Just grab your mic.
They've had a hard time already trying to, because of past boards, we're trying to move, trying to retain the members that we have. And you gotta remember, this is a volunteer board. We don't even have an employee. We're trying our best to go forward. Next month. So one meeting and then to get a hold of everybody. Yeah, the chamber board doesn't know that this is an ask through the county and the town. It was something that Bob and I had decided that we would go forward with to see if it would go through.
Just for clarification, the board itself is not asking for funds.
The town, I was approached by the town.
And I'd rather see the board itself ask for those funds.
Okay, so what kind of motion do you want? That we? No motion at all? Just leave it?
Defer your
Rescind?
motion. Or rescind.
Okay,
To me, put a motion on the floor and then
Point of order through the chair. Councillor Bigger should withdraw the motion if that's the correct path she would like to take.
You're rescinding your motion? Okay. Councillor Bigger has rescinded her motion. Under unfinished business, Councillor Eichert had an addition, letter to RMA regarding FCM.
And this is regards to I believe that we should, as a council, we as council, I believe we should send a letter to the RMA. Our perceived lack of, yeah, like on both, on Western interests, rural interests, and on energy. On the whole, they handled that poorly at the FCM level. To the RMA, so just our concerns about what went on, and what could have been done better. And sort of, like I said, it's, I believe that
I can do that. That might have more leverage as well with FCM. Yes.
regarding how
I think that would be great to have it at the RMA, because then it's fresh in everybody's minds, all the other counties that attended, and see their perspective on it from, as well. And you may
great idea.
change your mind, or you may get a lot of support. You never know. That's great.
Thank you.
When is the next meeting?
September, October.
Yeah.
There's a motion.
Probably a director's meeting.
Yeah, I believe it's August 9th. I think Central Directors meeting is August 9th, and then the next District General meeting is in MD at Bighorn on October 4th. So I'll work with administration and we'll get a request to have that on the director's agenda and then onto the zone meeting. Yeah. Any further discussion on the motion? Thanks, Scott. All in favor? Motion is carried. 3.1B, ratify. Yeah, we can take a break. Sorry. Take a break. 5 minutes. We'll reconvene at 10:15. Under 3.2A, an RFD for Wheatland County Safety Audit 2019. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so through the chair, this is just for council's information. Annually, Wheatland County, we participate in a safety audit. So I believe it's 2 years internal, 1 year external. Our score did improve this year over last year. So we're scored on 10 elements. Our overall combined score was 87%. Last year was, I believe, mid 80s or low 80s, which is good. The minimum requirement for this internal audit was 60% to pass. Next year, we're getting an external auditor coming in, which we have a reciprocal agreement with other municipalities. So other municipalities come in and do an audit on our safety program. So what this is just information for council, our score, and just any general questions.
Any questions or comments regarding the audit report? Excellent, yeah.
Yeah, I believe the lowest element that we had was a score of 83. Yeah, so it was very well done. I think the safety program at the county is very, very strong.
Counselor Wilson has moved. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. It was very thorough, thank you. There's an RFD regarding a request to refund property tax roll number 767220 in the amount of $37,162.20.
Yes, so through the chair, this was a property tax payment made by a ratepayer who just did not put in the decimal point. And
That's his fault.
so when we do our reconciliations as they come through, I'm not sure if the ratepayer notified us or if this was caught by staff during the reconciliation, but they did make an overpayment of
I
just
wish
over
I couldn't notice
37,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he would have noticed it, but.
It would be a long time.
Counselor Armstrong's made a motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Motion carried. There's an RFD regarding soil movement in the county.
Yes, so through the chair, this issue was identified at the ASB board level. There's some soil movement within the county. The county currently does not have a policy to review soil movement within the county. So areas specifically that this impacts is the side closest, or the west side of the county, where lots of soil is coming in and out and just kind of being moved. So our ASB department has looked at other municipalities. Some other municipalities have policies on it. Some others are looking into getting them. However, ours, we currently don't have one, but we're exploring that to get it, so.
Just for the two counselors that weren't at the ASB, it's just due to transfer of like certain diseases, club root, noxious weeds. But I've thought a lot about this, and there was a similar issue brought up at the South Region last year, but it wasn't dirt, it wasn't soil movement, it was feed movement, and bales coming in and out of the municipal borders and into different producers' fields could also bring in a number of invasive species. And that's why I think it's a very hard topic and problem to solve, because I think you open up a number of issues by having a policy for just this one. Like, to me, are we gonna know every time dirt's moved in and out of the county? Are we gonna know every time bales are coming in and out of the, like, we're biting off a large piece of the cake here. I don't know if we'll be able to really do anything about it. So I am a little cautious on this.
Tom, do you want to just turn your mic on and?
Oh, it's back on again. It wasn't working, now it's back on. The request is just to accept the information and to have the Ag Service Board continue working on the issue. And I think where they need to continue working on it is through the development offices, so that when there's development out there and somebody comes into the development and says they're bringing in 500 yards of, or 600 yards or 1,000 yards of topsoil or something, that they have an idea where it's coming from and why, that they check with the Ag Service Board before that happens, that there's a notation on there. I think that's where we need to look, not as a blanket policy to stop all the movement, but it's got to, dirt won't move unless there's a development involved in it somewhere.
Well, one of the concerns that was brought forward was some of the development is in other municipalities. And then we even had Ag Services Board members who had been approached by developers in other municipalities
Right.
that were looking for a place for, they're saying it's topsoil, but then it was shared that it's not always,
Yeah?
yeah, you were there, not always topsoil.
Yeah.
I endorse giving the Ag Services Board and the Ag Services Department kind of liberty to work further on this. Some of it could be an education component as well. My concern is, I think our ag producers would be very conscious about decisions like this. My concern would be about potential, maybe acreage owners or something like that, saying, like accepting topsoil and then it having implications.
Well, that's what I say.
I'm not naming any names.
Yeah, I'm not naming any names
But then
either,
it could
just,
have
like,
implications for adjacent egg producers, and that would be a concern
Most
for me.
producers would get the soil tested, like, you test most of the stuff you put on your land.
That's why I don't have a problem leaving it in there and letting the Ag Service Board keep working on it through their staff. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
Councillor Clausen?
I know for a fact, a lot of the strip topsoil around the Calgary area, there's big piles, that's what the developers are getting rid of right now. You can get it for free. If you're willing to take it, Rocky View's had many quarter sections filled with it. They were allowed up to 2 feet, I think it was. And, so that soil's been sitting there for a long time. I doubt it was ever tested for anything that was on it. And it gets stockpiled, and then it's just a nuisance. They need to get rid of it. So the trucking, they even pay for the trucking and everything and flattening it out. I know south of where I live right now, there's been a haul going on for a good 4 weeks. And they're filling in an area that is debatable that it's a wetland. My concern is more of the wetland filling, because that's where the dirt is gonna go for these people. And I think there's a process for that through Alberta Environment and our staff to make sure that the wetlands are protected. And I think that'll capture more of what you need. And I support this as well. The can of worms being, you gotta limit that as well. So, but there is a definite shift of soil from Calgary coming out this way because they're trying to get rid of it because they want to develop more and it's just in the way.
Yeah, and just further to that, we did hear at ASB of a report of a field in Rocky View County that I believe had clay applied to it. They thought, they were told it was topsoil and it was clay, and now that's not like in production land anymore, so.
I had a family member that worked for the company that was doing this, and yeah, if you agreed to it, you'd have 100 trucks hauling to you immediately, because the developers want it gone because they want to develop that land. It's just a nuisance, so that's where it's going.
So this is more just to bring council fully up to date on the discussions that happened at ASB and just to endorse their moving forward with exploring ways to address this issue. Councillor Wilson's made the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. 3.2D, we have an RFD regarding High Eagle Campground and the erosion failure there.
Yes, Madam Chair. So we've had a request from High Eagle Campground to assist with their erosion repair. And this is the lands that is leased out from the county to that campground. So the campground is privately owned and operated. So in 2017, the county did some work to repair some erosion on a riverbank over there. And just some general, I think there were some problems with flooding as well. So we did assist them at the time and tried to help repair as much as possible. So there has been further requests to assist in the repair of, to repair soil erosion and slope failure at the campground. However, it is our recommendation to refuse that request. Based on the fact that they are a privately run campground and we do lease it.
Refresh my memory now, maybe Glenn can do this better, is when that erosion was caused, did they not remove all the trees along that bank and which caused the erosion in the first place?
I think this is a different site. This was eroded 2 years ago when the water from Severn Dam come down. It's not the main creek, I don't think. It's the one where the Severn Creek runs in, and it's straight. It comes from the south and runs north. So we had a tenting thing back there, and that water, the river was high, plus Severn Dam was full, and it was running full, and that whole campground was underwater, except for that old cookhouse, the original structure. So this from Severn Creek, I've never seen it run so full. Like, there's a dam there that was put in by, a long time ago, by the PFRA and people have dugouts along the way, and it was for stock water and all that. It was an original dam. But I'm guessing the level of the dam that's run by Alberta Environment, I believe, controls the level. They got caught, I'm thinking, with too much water in the dam, I'm thinking. No, I don't think so. And this land is owned by the county. It is a private. He is doing it. He pays rent to the Lions Club as a community service. The Lions Club originally had it. If it is not operated as a campground, it has to be returned to the Alberta government. That was you remember as a kid going camping around Alberta, there was hundreds of these things, and the province divested themselves of it. We have fixed up the main one on the Rosebud and do trees and stuff on there. This is a safety concern that people camp there and walk along the edges. Does it flood there often? No, I've never. That was the highest. The one residence had never seen water that high come very high.
Question is, and his contract is the same as Leslie's down here. He has to spend close to $5,000 a year, somewhere in that area anyways, depending on what and has he done that?
Yeah, he does that every year. When it was flooded a few years ago and we fixed up that bank, he's had to restore numerous campsites. When he originally got the campground, it was maybe 20, 30 sites. They were all dry. He's put power and water into 50 or 60 sites. He's put water in there and power in there. He uses his allotment up every year since he's been aware of that, for sure. It's county land, and to make it safe, we're always worried about, I hear the words liability a lot, and if somebody steps on that side of that bank and the topsoil caves in, there's some pictures there. Page 223, them there. People like to go down on the banks. And it's, sometimes that stream is dry. They just don't let the water down. It's fed by Severn Dam. So I would, I'll vote that we, I'll make a motion that we, what page is that budget on? I did see it. I vote that, I would move that we repair the banks there, according to the estimate. Up to that amount, yeah.
Discussion?
I'm just wondering if we're gonna do it, why would we contract it out? Why don't we have different equipment. We have a excavator and ag field guys that know some plant growth that could probably go in there to sustain that bank better. We might have the technology and the staff here that could do it on a rainy day per se, or something off the side. I don't know, because I do believe with our ag service board, those guys know what plants would go there to sustain that bank, probably better than what a private company would. If we're gonna do it, I'd prefer that our guys do it with our own fill material. I'm sure we've got some in some pit somewhere that we.
I think the original one, if I remember right, I don't know if they did it. It was the site of a demonstration for willow weaving in the banks. I don't know. I think it washed out after. But I wouldn't be adverse to that. We could send it over to Ag Service Board and see if, because they are of experts in seeding and soil placement, but they don't have the equipment to do it. I'm sure they're gonna need a high hoe or something in there. Do both of them, if they can see it in there. Their constraints in getting their work done. Because I'm sure we just don't have equipment laying around either. It would be nice if they could do it, it would be okay by me. One or the other.
So, okay, Councillor Wilson.
We already had this discussion, did we not? I thought so. And this is just, they're asking again.
Yeah.
So why would we, what's changed? I would ask council. Why are we looking at going a different way than we did, what, 5 months ago?
When it come to council last time, I wasn't aware it was coming. Nobody's talked to me about it. Last time we had flood on that creek, we repaired it. We repaired around the seed plant. That's all riffraff. They are our property, and it still is our property. That's just no different than a road. It's our property, our infrastructure. And I'm thinking he's of the opinion, it sounds by his letter, there's a warranty thing in there, for sure. But this is public lands. If we don't fix that up and make that safe, are we going to close it and take it away from him?
Councillor Eichert.
On the original, and according to the letter is,
My recollection was that the warranty was not going to cover these repairs from the previous report, but we'd have to pull that up. But I believe the company that did the original repair, and this is just based off my memory, and I absolutely could be wrong, but my recollection is that it was not to be covered under warranty.
And I'm not 100% sure, but a few years ago, this other campground on Eagle Lake, there was some work done on the lakefront. Can you remember that, Ben? Or it was more or less a one-off at the time. They're all constantly doing repairs to the campgrounds, and we give them their tax money back. But here is, I believe, it's just this is a repair to some flood damage. It's not an enhancement to the.
DPH has come out and looked at it. Are they saying it's not a warranty issue?
Well, that's
I'm
what it
just
looks
looking
like
it
to
up.
me. Yeah. Sure, if you're the owner, you're looking for, county won't give us any money. Is that a warranty issue? He's just grabbing at straw.
Well, if it was done in the spring of 2017, then it has 2-year warranty, it should still be over.
Yeah, I would think.
The
It's
end
summer
of
now.
19?
Yeah.
but it didn't happen now, it had to have happened within the 2 years of the work.
Oh, it was, yeah. I don't know if any work much was done there. I can't put the timing together 100%, because nothing was done there.
And administration, do you have
Should
any
have
comments?
Mike here. Mike wouldn't have.
So
I've got,
if you
I'll
have
have it
if you
here
have a
in one
motion on the floor to go ahead with this, why not include in that the administration check with DPH, investigate and see if there is any recompense back from them, or even proportionately, that they come back and take a.
And they could work in conjunction too, I'll add, with the Ag Service Board, and maybe the Ag Service Board can do what they can do, seeding it and whatnot, or willows, or it can be, under the Ag Service Board, we have a rehabilitation thing what they like to do with riparian areas. Yeah, like.
so
that's
just for
different.
background context, April 2nd, 2019 council meeting, we had an RFD regarding this. And the key issue concept defined stated erosion protection was installed by the county on the banks of the Rosebud River and Severn Creek adjacent to the High Eagle Campground. The work was completed in the summer of 2017. In April of 2018, the erosion protection was damaged during the spring runoff. Repairs due to this act of nature are not covered by the contractor warranty. Further, as stated by Wood Group, any future repairs to the site will be considered temporary without the movement of structures on the site. So there were further kind of considerations at that time.
But, you know, you look at what we went through yesterday. We sat there all day listening to all this fancy stuff, and a lot of the talk around that was around recreation and tourism. What's this related to? Recreation and tourism. If we don't support it, what's that do to what we did yesterday? And it is our property. It's not a fault of theirs that it has caused it. It's a fault of some other recreation dam down the road that, so start throwing that all into the mix, and what do you come up with? I don't have a problem fixing it up myself, but.
From the previous meeting, I remember my problem with it was that if we do it and it gets washed down again, we're just, I think the
Throwing
statement was
money.
washing down money
Yeah,
down the river.
that is what I remember
And
too.
from what the engineers are saying there is that it's a temporary solution. That was my problem. is-
Their report was not included. I was just
Yeah.
looking, I don't see their actual report
But
in
that was the
here.
impression that I got, was this, the specialist said that it's only gonna be a temporary solution, it's gonna happen again. So, the other part of this too, this doesn't have to be done in the summer, we could do this in the middle of winter. Winter work project, I mean, it's a heavy equipment job. Probably safer to do it in the winter, because you won't get as any kind of problems with the water contamination and things.
Early spring or something.
Yeah,
late
so I
fall.
mean, if we can do it with our crews, with our materials, I'd have no problem doing that at convenience of when it would work. Because yes, it is ours, and like we discussed yesterday, tourism stuff, that's how we could do it. To bring somebody in to do it and pay them, I'm not okay with that, because they're saying it's gonna fail again anyways, so. I think we have the expertise in-house. And the materials too, it's our gravel pits, or I'm sure we got dirt piles and.
Just be a matter of making the slope.
And to further that, we've had WID here before, and they said they would help us out in the wintertime. They have more expertise in this than any of us, and the equipment to do it. They would probably gladly bring a hoe up there at a small fee and do it themselves.
I don't know if it'd be appropriate to do it in the wintertime, but we could do it certainly off-season, late
Yeah.
fall.
After the irrigation
Early
season,
spring.
they've have 5, 6 hoes that are, you know,
I don't think it's that big of a job,
Yeah.
really. Just making the banks safe and plant some grass on them and maybe some willows.
Get administration.
Yes, we can certainly do that and report it back to council.
And through the chair, in that report, when they come back to council, if, as the engineer said, it's a temporary fix, and maybe there's been a change, maybe the waterway, and they do that, and that's what we did over by the seed plant, is, it may not end up a grassy slope. If the engineers come back and say that it'll wash out again if we do that, maybe we need to put a rock lining all the way along there because of the way the water is flowing. And that's what we do. It may not be as pretty as what he would like it to be, but it will be safe.
In the background, it does say that the grass has begun to reestablish on the slope and further disturbance will compromise this growth and the stability of the bank. I wasn't quite sure how to interpret that, like.
Well, nature's nature, it'll start to grow.
Changes.
I know what Ben's saying, and I've thought of that since the last meeting, and everybody's saying climate change and flooding, and I don't want to go down that road, because I don't believe it's that bad. Like I say, that dam, I've never seen water that high before in that dam. You can have a good blast of it, but not the levels that were there that year. It was just an extra warm spring with lots of late snow. And will it happen again? Can I say? I would have to say, yeah, it will happen again, because it did happen already, but probability is I would never riff-raff it. Not because it's safer or anything else, it's just the expense of it. I'm thinking all this is for me, if we go down there and level it out and plant some grass on it and get rid of them sharp banks of the sods hanging over the edge. I think, what else would you want to do to it? Like, it's got erosion blankets, it's got silt fencing. Something I don't. That's what you plant grass for. So I'll change my motion that staff approach county workforces and see what they think they can do for it. Whoever that is. We have experts on reclamation. Yeah, we can come back to council again.
Yeah, maybe an updated report, given that it does say that like grass is growing. It would be good to have somebody out there to look at it again. Yeah, there.
Well, it washes and gets underneath the roots and the topsoil, and that stays there, and all the other stuff is gone, and it's sandy soil.
Yeah, there is an updated photo. There's one there from June 2019 that shows the reestablished growth.
If we ever were to go on a tour, I would like to take you all down that river, starting right at the top of the hill where the road goes down into Redland. There has got to be, this is on a different river, but there is a slide there, happened in 1 year. There must be, every half a mile there's a new slide. And it all happened in 1 year, just circumstances. It slid onto the road in one place. There's a few, the soil out there is such as that it moves. But yeah, that'll be my motion, that staff look at it.
You just reiterate your motion one more time, just so we're clear. Or if Margaret has it.
Yeah.
That sums it up. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next up, we have the fire master plan. You've been very patient. Good morning.
Morning. Well, as per direction from council in 2018, staff was to budget for a fire master plan for 2019. We brought that back to council just to verify that we still wanted to move forward with requests for proposals. Once we have verification from council, we did put out a request for proposal and we received 3 quotes. So we put these through an interesting little matrix to come out with what we believe would be the best solution to present to council. And at the conclusion of our grading, we would recommend that Transitional Solutions, as they achieve the highest overall score, would be the company to move forward with for the fire master plan.
We do have to keep in mind, we have also been working with TSI, like on a regional emergency management plan and other issues as well, so. No, I understand your hesitation.
I can provide the e-copies. I do have to find a disk drive to get the e-copy because they didn't provide a memory stick as was directed. So if I can actually find a hard disk.
Opus is up to legalities too.
Because it was an RFP.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Then I want a legal opinion on that. Get the lawyers and give us a legal opinion if we're gonna, because this is a legal matter in another area that this company is working for X company. And I'm concerned there could be cross information or whatever. The perception on both sides of it are not good. If I was the other side, I would not be happy with it both ways. That's
So
all
if I
can
might
say.
suggest we give administration some time to gather information, and if senior administration would like to just maybe consult our procurement policy and just see where we're at with this, or legal, and maybe we could readdress this after lunch, just to give administration some time to.
Brian, would you be able to answer my question? If, with TSI's current employer being in litigation with us, is there any issues you can foresee if we choose this?
Well, TSI is working with another entity that could be claiming legal action against us. None has been brought forward yet at this time. So we had ongoing projects with TSI before this as well. We can certainly follow council's recommendation and certainly ask legal and get you an opinion or an answer after lunch, after the 1 o'clock appointment. So for the record, no legal proceedings as of yet, so.
I will send out a link just to our purchasing policy when I find it as well. I did have it, but it's not here right now. So we're going to just come back to 3.2E after lunch, probably following our 1 o'clock appointment. Thank you. We're going to move on to the 3 RFDs that were circulated. The first one is regarding an organizational chart amendment in the Corporate and Financial Services Department. Good morning.
Good morning. So the first RFD is just a small organizational chart change. So we currently have a vacant position in corporate services for the grant writer. Those duties will be redistributed. Administration's goal is to bring on a financial analyst. So that financial analyst will analyze current spending trends, identify areas for cost savings as well. The incremental difference for salary and benefits will be around $25,000 annually. There would be no budget adjustment required this year because the grant writer position has been vacant since about March 2019. So our goal here is to kind of tighten the so-called belt for spending for the county, just current economic times as well. Potential reduction in assessment in shallow gas wells and potential other industries as well. So it's an area that administration has identified as a very important area to review.
Are there any questions regarding the business case that's been presented?
I think it's a good move, especially with some changes in our linear for sure. One concern I have, maybe I think you can answer it. In the past, when we've had a grant writer, we've said to other community groups that we would assist in some of their grant writing commit. That service would still be available no matter who's looking after it?
Yes, that's correct. Our goal is to assist any community group we can as well. This position is more of they would be a designated accountant or some sort of designation that they've had experience in this area as well. So they can kind of help just identify areas within the county's current operations that we can find cost improvements as well. I'm fairly certain that we could quantify the savings as well, like on an annual basis, and just show council that the $25,000 of incremental cost is worth it.
It's one thing to get all this data and all this paperwork and all our numbers, but if nobody looks at it and analyzes it, what's the point of it, really? It's taken us a time to get with this new software. We seem to be getting, everything's getting in their nice little rows. But to make use of it, we have to have somebody interpret it too, so.
I support this as well. I really like the idea behind it, and kind of, from what I've heard from the public, this is what they want, so this gives us that tool to work with.
Any further discussion? Not yet, nope. Deputy Reeve Custer's made a motion. Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you for your work on that. I think it'll be good. Next, we had an RFD circulated regarding Wheatland Regional Corporation Phase 3 project.
Yes, so before council has circulated RFD, this is just for information for the Phase 3 of the Wheatland Regional Corporation project. So what this is a pipeline that goes from, or extends to Rosebud, and could go through Redlands as well. This is just information that we felt would be pertinent to council. Council, if they choose to go forward with this, needs to authorize the expenditure of the municipal portion. So the municipal portion is $620,000 for that extension to the line. Some relevant information that we've just kind of pulled is that there's 43 utility accounts in Rosebud. It would provide the opportunity for other utility holders on that line to, I guess, get into that line as it extends. We weren't sure exactly what information council wants or requires to help them make a decision. So with this report, we're just kind of hoping that we could get some council guidance on what information they would want, or if further information is required, or just any sort of guidance or direction.
Was there ever any funds set aside for this? Is there any reserves left for this?
So that was a question that a council was brought forward at a council meeting a while ago, and I did just get down to the answer yesterday. So for that answer, there was funds set aside back in 2014. So what happened was that funds were sort of earmarked for this project specifically. That grant funding is kind of a general grant, so I believe it was administration's intent to put aside funds for the contribution to each phase of the project. However, back in 2017, I believe, they just, after phase 2 was complete, the reserve was kind of just dissolved. That being said, future grant funding can be used for this. However, you must consider that future grant funding, if used on this project, would just kind of go away from another project that we would have it earmarked for. So the grants funds put aside previously was through a program called AMWIP, or AMIP. It's kind of just general funding, so that was kind of earmarked for that project, but since then it was used on other projects.
Already said this, but is this debentured at all, or?
No method of funding has been considered at this point. There certainly is lots of different ways that we can do it. Other hamlets have debentures against the hamlet, not for the full amount, for partial of the amount. Galician's in one. I believe Carsland Speargrass is in one as well, that there's a certain percentage of that contribution put towards that. Sometimes there are loans to the AFCA, or the Alberta Finance Capital Authority, that you can borrow funds from, sometimes just grant funding, general taxation, kind of lots of different methods that you can kind of take to get there. If that's an option council would like us to explore, then, or provide options.
And the county's still doing the billing?
Yes, for the hamlet of Galician, yep, and our other hamlets as well.
Yeah.
So what I think would help me a little bit here is looking at operational changes. So we're going to go from a facility that requires 5 days a week staff there. There's going to be operational changes with this because the requirement will be the same. So if there is some reduction in staff time, reduction in maintenance and repairs, things like that, some kind of business case that way, I think would be a great tool for council to have. I know there's going to be some savings there. I don't know what that's going to be. It could be a wash. But like, I see the benefits of this long-term for the area. There for sure. It's a long-term solution. It's hard to justify for that many residents. You know, and it is a long line. Like, there's benefits, and it's just balance of what is good. So.
It is a lot of money, but I think when one of our wells is going down, I don't know what the last well cost us, but probably a third of that much. And you'll know on other wells, they seem to go down every, when was the last one? This is the 4th well in 25 years or 30 years. Not an abundance of water out there. It's not like the area where I live in. One well would run it easy. So there is a shortage of water out there, that's for sure. Those wells take considerable maintenance. There's staff have to run up and look at them and chlorinate them and shock them and all that. So that part is good. This grant funding, I'd asked Brian to look at it. sent an email yesterday. But some of that money that was transferred originally from the machinery and equipment, that money was, the grant money went into machinery and equipment, and that was earmarked for the water. But we were in no position to spend it on the water, and it was going to default. So some last minute, they got it transferred into that, and hence that's why it was all grant money, and there was roughly, I think, 6 million. I think if I'm just going off, I can pull it up, but we took 2 million last year out of the reserve and put it back into machinery and equipment. That money was all this AMWIP money. And we did, that's where we funded the other 2 phases and paid for the Galician upgrades in that plant. Presently, Rosebud has a debenture on their water treatment plant. They're paying for that, so that's, yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions I can answer.
So there is a debenture on the water treatment plant upgrade that was done a few years back?
It's a brand new plant.
Yeah.
There was an unfortunate incident in the last one, and, yeah.
But it went as a debenture. Do you know how long that is, or the amounts?
It was a 20-year debenture, I think. I don't know, I have to ask Brian if you know any specifics.
Okay, it could be done in 2026. I'd have to confirm that. I could confirm that and get back to you guys after lunch as well.
Do we have some options on a debenture for this, palatable options, I guess, for what could be affordable for a community? You know, some kind of payback, just some buy-in, I guess, too.
The water co-op, everybody's treated equal. So the water co-op, we've paid for the other phases. Water co-op is really, can be argued, should be responsible for this, and they could have to borrow the money. But at the end of the day, we're all paying it back. We are subsidizing water in the county, so we'll just end up subsidizing it back. That was the mythology why we paid for it in the first place. Realizing that the price of water is going to go up because of, so we had this grant, so we just put the infrastructure in. And can say consistent, and we had the money set aside. I don't have a problem paying for it up front, and hopefully getting on more of a user pay thing on their utilities. That's a good thing, but I don't mind paying for it, being that we did acquire these funds for a water treatment plant, and we had enough money to build a water treatment plant just in Galician, and it would have went in as such. But this water partnership, we were able to use the funds there and give everybody the same water, and probably at a cost savings too. So that was why council did it at the time, chose to go this way. And this is just the finish off of it. And there's maybe one other project coming up for Hazard to get water when and if their wells, but their well seems to be working quite well, so maybe they haven't put that request in. When that comes, then we'll have to look at that too. I would have trouble putting this request on our taxpayers when we've paid for other municipalities not to have to do it. Just, to me, just not fair. If we're going to do it here, then we should ask everybody to do it. Chip in. We paid for Rocky Ford's share and we paid for Standard's share. and we paid Galician's share. Now we're going to ask Rosebud to pay their share, or to debenture it to just, we've used our money, and it was all grant money to pay for everybody's. Now we're going to say, Rosebud, you need to have a debenture, or you need to kick some money in, when nobody else did. They'll probably have a couple words for you. Not on the water.
Not for Wheeland Region.
Not on this.
It was
The ventures
previous
that
one.
Galician have, they brought with them as baggage when they were a village or town into the county. And I'm thinking one of them got paid off here a little while ago,
really
or
small
are
one.
about to.
By Prowse.
Yes, just some points of information for council. So, Galician was a small one, paid off all of the dimensions for Galician should be paid off in 2020, I believe. And for Rosebud, it is 2026. It's about a $15 charge a month to all the account holders in Rosebud for that waste, or the current debenture. Until 2026, yep.
What's an average water bill in Goshen?
We could pull some statistics and get back to council on that one.
It's the same water bill everybody in the county gets. It's
Yeah,
$1.86
it's the same.
Well,
Except for me,
except-
except for me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
me.
too, but still.
Well,
Charge everybody the same rate.
No, because that's paying a debenture. Okay, we're actually, ours are very high.
But your water.
The water rate's the same, but our bills are coming in quite.
Yes, the only difference between any bills between any hamlets would be any potential debentures, or the flat rates and the price per cube are all standard.
Yeah.
Do you have the Carsland debenture information?
Seeing that I don't have a time machine and can go back and do this how I would have done it at the start, I honestly think this is good for the community, and I do actually support this. I think we can't change it. That's not how I would have done it, but I wasn't there then, so we'll have to continue on with this. My other concern is about the other phase, because like you mentioned Hazar and stuff. I'd hate to force them to take it when that comes, just so you know, because I know I've talked to them and they're kind of happy the way things are going right now. And I don't think they understand that part of being in this means that they're going to have to take it at some point. And that has to be identified, but that's down the road. But yeah, for now, actually, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation to get it going. And we'll fund it out of reserves or however we're going to do it. 'Cause
Or for information.
The recommendation is just for information.
for information, yeah.
One other point that I've thought about with this is when we look at areas of potential growth, I think Rosebud is an area of potential growth with the School of the Arts there and kind of the cultural asset that is to our county. And I think with having addressed the wastewater issue there, I think this would go well with addressing some of their infrastructure issues that have limited growth there. So I have heard mixed information about, desalination or reverse osmosis, dealing with some of the water issues that are there. But I think this is a good solution, and it may help WRC be,
Yeah, I think it's a solution.
it is a long-term solution.
So as accepting as information, we need to have the motion to get the funding. So when would that come?
So it really depends on what council's wishes are. So this can be accepted as information, then an additional motion can be made for Wheeland County to contribute the municipal share, or if council's looking for more information on the subject, we can direct administration to bring back more information on the subject, potential funding models. It's really up to council.
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation. If somebody else wants to do the other, I'd be
Let's
happy
deal with that motion first. So that was to accept this as information
Yep.
initially. Any discussion regarding the motion to accept the report as information? All in favor? Motion is carried.
And I'll make the motion to fund the municipality share of 620,120 from reserves, would be the best, or however administration sees fit.
I think one, just through the chair, I think one good way to word that resolution would be to fund up to 10% of the municipal portion
Yes.
of the project to a maximum of the 620,120.
That's an excellent clarification.
Yeah, just point of clarification as well. And then I'll have to determine exactly what year this needs to be expended in, whether it's 19 or 2020. And I can bring that information back to council at a future meeting as well.
Are there questions or discussion regarding the motion?
Probably going to be a cost increase. I don't know if that, because it could be, that kind of stuff for on WRC. I just don't know what the, are we? Cost running into Redland that get brought back to us. I'm just not sure.
I think it's how it went the last time at the board meeting. They're looking at different routes, and I think it's going to come back to the board to see which is the board's wishes. Wasn't it basically a business case coming forward?
Right now, the T for it is probably 2 miles, 3 miles west of Redland. And it's straight south across the river. Crosses the river. If it was to go straight north where that T is, we have a bridge there. It's one of the best places to cross that river. And that would come up. Then, like I say, we're going east to Rosebud and Redland's on the way. And it's all flat land, so to say. Flatter than going over top of those hills. So it's the shortest route where that T is now to go through Redland, I believe. But although, and same as everything else, everybody does a study and picks 2 or 3 routes and say this is the cheapest one. But to me, just looking at it, it's no brainer that the easiest way to go. Follows our road allowance and away you go.
And at current design, my belief is there is no truck fill station in this expansion. That could be a future discussion, but I think right at the moment, it's not.
Discussion for the future. Rocky Fork keeps saying how much water, a lot of them trucks are coming from that area. And a lot of the trucks, the Dallam area go to Drumheller. There's just not much water out in that area for drinking, let alone for spraying or anything else. I don't know if the design would allow a truck fill station that works, not like the last truck fill station. I'm not in favor, and I don't know if there was something in talk, but it's really not. We haven't talked that much about it at the board level.
Yeah, potential bulk water
There
services.
is, I don't know what the capacity of the pipe would be, especially if we get the new development that Nibs is there. It's more than half of what's there now, plus Redland, there's another. It would double what's our 34 turnouts is now.
I think the engineering for the future bulk water station would have to be, from what we've learned on the previous ones, would have to be reevaluated for size, because the actual consumption rate is higher than what I think was predicted. So the values would change on that. The pipe might have to be changed, the reservoirs might have to be bigger if you're gonna do that. And of course, that's a decision of the board to see if we wanna do that and then see if the funding can get there. But that has to be done at the original design phase too, because you have to get the pipe sizing right. So I think this gets it going, and I think the board now is more in line with what council wants, I believe, and trying to get things going in a more cost-effective, so.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. There was also an RFD circulated regarding water services, water and wastewater services for Carsland Speargrass.
Yes, Madam Chair, after further consideration, would it be possible to move in camera briefly before further discussion is had?
Yep. Can we have a motion to move in camera? Councillor Armstrong has moved in camera. All in favor? Motion carried.
There was one other one that we did. Oh, yes, the course for Munisite, which was on, sorry, I wasn't expecting this right away. Let me pull up my time
Sorry.
sheet. It was in June 20th?
So mileage and per diems for those events.
Yeah. Yes. Anything else?
You're making a motion.
And Donna had one as well.
Yeah, I was asked to go to an entrepreneurship workshop at Bow Valley College on June 13th. I attended it with Patrick.
Will you accept that as an amendment to
I
your
will
motion?
accept Donna's as an amendment, yes.
Any questions or discussion?
Yes. Yes.
The economic development session on July
Yesterday.
15th.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mileage and per diems.
Yes. Yes.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
I believe next we have the speed limit discussion on Range Road 222.
Sorry, I don't want to sit down. I got a call the other day, a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, about the speed limit on this Wheatland Crossing School Road. It's Range Road 222, and it's funny, might go a little off track here. Have you seen the Corner Gas episode where they fill in the pothole? And everybody drives really fast? That's what has happened on that road. That road used to be very, very poor, and you couldn't go more than 50 on it. And now it is it's fixed up and people are flying. They've had a few truck fills there, they've had a few trucks going in and out, going quite fast, and that's the big issue. Yeah. Yeah.
Near the intersection.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, not on the intersection, on the road itself. I'm not talking about where the school is. The school isn't the issue. The issue is the residents along that road south of the school. But the trucks aren't doing 80. It's an enforcement issue. That's why I'm not talking about, I'm just saying the speed was a issue. So.
You're not
Yeah.
looking for a
I'm not-
change in the speed
yeah, I'm
limit,
not
you're
looking
looking
for
for
a
some
change.
municipal enforcement
Yeah,
of the speed limit.
So if I could have that, or with the amount of truck traffic, if we could have a truck speed limit. There is quite a bit of. Yeah, that's fine.
Encana, they had Encana putting signs up. And there was, I probably got 50 of them out there with 50K speed zones past there. And we were getting people coming in mad. It's not our sign, it's Encana's sign. Our police don't have to enforce it, it's
Yeah, I
Encana's.
remember that.
Encana enforced it, and if they got, I think they had a three bat. If they got three, first one you got a warning, the second one you lost a week's work, the third one you got kicked off the job. That was Encana's policy, it wasn't ours. If we didn't put them there, they.
Yeah, I'm fine with enforcement. It was
Yeah.
just a resident
Yeah, don't,
kind of question. So.
yeah.
Are you looking for a motion, or you just want
Yeah,
or
I just
administration
wanted,
to
yeah,
be
I just
aware?
wanted to admin to be aware of the issue. So.
Maybe a motion to accept Councillor Wilson's. Truckville?
With construction being there, it could be construction.
Is this? Or he is. Can I just make that?
Through the CAO, I think you can forward resident concerns.
Yeah, we do have a number of avenues for ratepayers to communicate with staff to bring forward those kinds of issues. We have the web submission, a phone call, email, whatever issues that ratepayers are having, they can always certainly bring them forward. We do act on them kind of on a as-need basis kind of thing, but we do try to address all concerns.
I understand that, I just want to make sure that I'm in.
Just keep in mind, you personally cannot direct staff. So
But if you're
you
just
phone the
making
police car.
administration aware,
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just let Brian know and then he deals with it. from
yeah,
there.
if you're just making administration aware of a
Yeah,
ratepayer
yeah,
concern,
Yeah, exactly, I would never ever ask for anything.
then it's up to administration to act on that concern and do any follow-up
ask
as
Brian.
required.
You can ask them all.
But okay,
All right.
yeah, no, thank you.
How about just a motion to accept the information that Councillor Wilson's brought to council?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Eichert's made the motion to accept his information. All in favor? Motion carried. We do have 3 in-camera items. And there's lunch, and there's checks to sign. Let's move into lunch now, and then we can be available for a 1 o'clock appointment. Will that work?
I'm not sure if council would consider hearing the, I believe it was 4.1, the shallow gas correspondence. I'm
I
not
can
sure
do
if that will take 5 minutes.
It will be brief, sure.
Okay.
Good idea. So interim CAO Brian Henderson and I attended a teleconference or listened in on a teleconference this morning that RMA hosted following a meeting that they had last Tuesday with Municipal Affairs. We were, actually the Tuesday before, sorry. We were in, yeah, we were in council, a pretty critical council meeting, so we weren't available to attend that meeting. However, we did request a follow-up teleconference, and I have been following the information that's been coming from RMA. So just an update, I know interim CAO Henderson has forwarded information as well. The provincial government has determined that they're going to do this rebate on the educational tax portion for our shallow gas wells as part of their initiative to kind of support the energy industry through this downturn. We were updated this morning that currently the province is creating guidelines which will include considerations from councils, if council has considerations that we would like municipal affairs to consider in the creation of the guidelines. RMA is having a board meeting on Thursday to further discuss this program from the government. The province will be issuing a letter of intent rather than a formal MOU because it's only a 1-year program that they're offering the rebate to municipalities. There are grave concerns from, we heard from most municipalities about the long-term implications of this program. So for some context, they're offering us as municipalities a rebate, so we won't need to like we can keep the education portion for those shallow gas well producers that we kind of participate in this program for, but only for this year. And then that, it's been made very clear that it would be a one-year initiative. Going forward, we would not have that relief as municipalities. It was indicated by RMA that we would want to be very cognizant that the 65% of the taxes collected from these producers prior to relieving the 35%, and to kind of use that as motivation. However, to also be mindful that if a company maybe is close to insolvency or something like that, where we do not have a probability of collecting their taxes, period, that we should be applying for the rebate program for that 35%. So at least we're not on the hook for that. Yeah, so long-term considerations are key. It was indicated, and this has been in the news as well, that the provincial government is reviewing kind of the entire oil and gas assessment, not just shallow gas. So this is just sort of one piece of what they'll be looking at. A priority is that we try and gain cohesiveness amongst the municipalities and how we're going to respond to this program. It sounds like some municipalities are reticent to participate just because of the long-term implications of supporting this program. They've kind of managed the top 15 at this point, so the 15 municipalities that are most impacted, but it will go out to the broader.
No, they're all over.
A lot in the central and southern. It's kind of central southern. Different municipalities mentioned things that they're already doing. Brazeau County, since the MGA was modernized, has already been doing a 30% rebate, which was about an $800,000 hit to their budget. They do not extend that to non-payers. That's just for, obviously, producers that are paying their municipal taxes. Newell noted that their taxes are collected and paid already, and they have had a major producer in their area into their council that is really excited about this program, but their council hasn't made any decisions regarding it. Panoka has created a spreadsheet kind of outlining the number of wells that they have and the potential impact. They're working on it both for this year as well as future years where the rebate program might not be in effect. So I guess I'm just bringing this to council. The other, I think, key thing that was stressed during the meeting was that this isn't, so it's kind of, there's a perception that it's the municipal taxes that are contributing to the insolvency or the financial kind of risk to these companies. And really the message that I feel is important, and it kind of was echoed throughout the group this morning, is that this is a market and commodity program. It's not the municipal taxes that are necessarily pushing these companies over the edge. We want to stress that so that it's not all kind of put on our shoulders as that being the issue, because that's not what the issue is. This is just a potential way to deal with it. We were encouraged to, as individual municipalities, talk to our MLAs regarding this issue, and to stress that this is not, like, our tax collection on this is not the breaking point for these companies, and just to stress that to our MLAs. And for follow-up on this, there will be a meeting of the 15 municipalities at a later date. They're going to wait about 2 or 3 weeks as the province is kind of rolling out these guidelines and the application forms as we get more information on this program. And so obviously we'll be sharing that with council and bringing it back. Council at some point will need to make a decision whether we're going to participate in this program or not. And administration can help advise us on that as the details come out from the province of Alberta. The meeting that the municipalities are planning, I believe we're going to invite municipal affairs to present some of that information as it's verified through the guidelines for the program and the application. And then municipal affairs will be kind of asked to lead the municipalities to discuss it and see where we are in regards to this program. So it's more just an update on council as to, and RMA is working really closely. They also have a meeting with municipal affairs to discuss MSI. There is some conjecture that there could potentially be some connection between how we respond to this program and potential future MSI funding. However, RMA did not think that there would necessarily be a connection between the two, but there are some municipalities that are concerned about that. And RMA did emphasize that they will try and address this as well, kind of concurrently with their discussions with municipal affairs regarding MSI and just the significant impact this could have on municipalities. So I don't know, Brian, if you have anything to add.
No, I provided council some information yesterday. So the first estimation of reduction in taxes that would, if this program were to continue, this year's net zero to a municipality would be between 1.8 and 1.4 million. So that's a significant kind of segment of our tax revenue. And this year, how the province is kind of handling it is that they provide those companies that rebate of, I think it's between 21 and 23 million, and those funds are being moved from the general provincial fund to cover this. So they're definitely making it up a different way. It just doesn't come out of nowhere. It's coming out of the province's general budget. So yeah, a couple of weeks they're hoping to get all the municipalities together and do it. Could even be here actually. They mentioned this is a very central location, so.
Yeah, exactly. So we may host the meeting. And it is important to stress that, what Brian said. So for the current year, it would be a net zero. There would be no cost to the municipality, but going forward, it could be a definitely significant effect on our revenue. So.
And with that as well, oh, my apologies. With that as well, so that's all non-residential assessment, all non-residential taxation. So council must keep in mind that that's a lot of our funding models for recreation, library, that's all through non-residential, right? So CRIS funding, CURB funding, library funding, yeah, all those kind of funds that we dish out for recreation are all funded through a mill rate of non-residential taxation and assessment.
That's what I was going to get at. That's non-residential taxes. I would like to see whenever you make a report, 15 or 16, whatever municipalities are, and what their non-res mill rates are. If we're charging the same, more or less, I would hate to give us a different, if we're charging 8 and the average is 10, it's going to affect us differently. We could charge 10 and give everybody a 30%, the old Shell game. So I would like to know, because when we talked to producers before, I says their standard response is taxes are killing us. So I says, well, is it worse or better than here? And they, well, this is a good county, but they're lying. And I would like to know what that is. And maybe we need an adjustment or a different methodology.
Also to note, just for council's information about mill rates, so our non-residential mill rate on a ratio compared to our residential is, I think it's like 1 to, it could be 2.2, 2.3, somewhere around there. So there's a new rule in the MGA that says you must be within 5 to 1, so we are certainly within that range. They also discussed potential of moving that rate down to a 3 to 1 ratio. So we're still in a very good position that way. So our concerns are a little alleviated with that. However, some of the other northern counties which rely significantly on non-residential, they could experience an issue that we wouldn't experience.
Yeah, it was noted that some of those municipalities have not met the 5 to 1 mandated, MGA mandated ratio yet. They are moving towards that. And there are these rumors that it could be reduced to 3 to 1. So we are poised well for that, but it would be interesting just to see a comparison of the mill rates. It should be easy to even extrapolate from this graph that we got, but he'll have it in seconds, I'm sure. So I'll move that we just accept this as information. It's more just an update, and Brian and I will work hard to get all the information out to council as it comes from RMA or Province of Alberta. All in favor of accepting his information? Motion carried.